Okay, seriously, how are we supposed to keep up with all the ways people are trying to trick us out of our money these days? It seems like every time I turn around, there's a new crazy scam.
You're not wrong. Scammers are definitely up in their game. But the good news is, so are we.
That's good to hear.
We've got a fascinating deep dive lined up for you today, all about how to spot and avoid some of the most common financial scams out there. It's based on this podcast episode we found called How to Avoid Common Financial Scams in the USA.
Perfect, because I think we could all use a little refresher on how to protect ourselves, even though we might think we know.
Absolutely. And while everyone's heard of those classic scams like the IRS phone call, the really interesting stuff is how these tactics are evolving.
Oh, like what?
Well, take imposter scams, for example. It used to be all about pretending to be the IRS or a prince in Nigeria.
Yeah.
But now they're getting much more personal.
Really?
Yeah. They might impersonate your boss,
Oh, wow.
a coworker, even a family member.
Whoa, seriously? That's kind of terrifying.
It is. And that's why it works. They're tapping into that instinct to trust the people we know. Plus, they're masters of creating a sense of agency.
Like, what kinds of things would they say?
They'll say things like, I need you to transfer some money. Right now it's an emergency.
Uh-huh.
And that panic can override our common sense.
I can definitely see how that would be effective. But wait, if they're pretending to be someone I know, how can I tell it's a scam?
That's a great question. Here's the thing. Scammers often rely on information they find online. So before you panic and wire money to your boss, take a moment to verify. Can you reach that person through another channel?
Right.
Does their communication style seem off? Any little inconsistency can be a red flag.
Okay, so verify, verify, verify. Got it. Speaking of things that can seem very real but aren't, let's talk about phishing scams. I feel like those are getting harder and harder to spot.
You're absolutely right. Those phishing emails used to be full of typos and grammatical errors. But now they can look incredibly convincing. They might even spoof the sender's address, so it looks like it's really coming from your bank or a trusted company.
So how are we supposed to tell the real from the fake?
Here's the golden rule. Never click on a link in an email unless you are expecting it. Always go directly to the company's website by typing in the URL yourself or using a bookmark. And if you have any doubts, call the company to verify.
Good advice. It's amazing how a simple click can lead you down a rabbit hole of trouble.
It really can. And that brings us to another type of scam that often starts online: fake investment and crypto schemes.
Ah, yes, the infamous get-rich-quick schemes.
Exactly. You know the ones.
Yep.
Promises of double your money returns, guaranteed profits, and limited time offers that are designed to create a sense of urgency and FOMO.
I feel like everyone falls for those at some point. I remember back in the day, I almost invested in, well, let's just say it involved tulips. Not my proudest moment.
We've all been there. The thing is, scammers are really good at exploiting our hopes and dreams. They know we're all looking for that easy path to wealth, and they use that desire against us.
So how can we avoid falling for their tricks?
Research, research, research. Before you invest in anything, take the time to understand what you're getting into. Look for independent reviews. Check the company's track record, and be wary of anything that promises unrealistic returns. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about when the scam isn't about money, but about something even more personal, like love?
Ah, yes, romance scams. They can be particularly devastating because they prey on our deepest desires for connection and companionship.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking to think that someone would exploit that vulnerability.
It is. But it's important to remember that scammers are master manipulators. They create these elaborate personas, often using stolen photos and fake profiles. And they spend weeks, even months, building trust and rapport with their victims.
Wow, that's a lot of effort.
It is. But for them, it's an investment. Because once they've gained your trust, they can start reeling you in with sob stories and requests for money.
So what are some of the warning signs that someone might be trying to scam you romantically?
Well, for starters, be wary of anyone who professes their love very quickly, or who seems too perfect to be true. Also, pay attention to their communication patterns. Do they avoid video calls or meeting in person? Are their stories inconsistent or full of holes? And of course, the biggest red flag of all is if they start asking for money.
Okay, so basically trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is.
Exactly. Your intuition is a powerful tool. Don't ignore it.
It's wild to think that someone could build an entire relationship just to scam you.
Right, but you know what's equally crazy? Tech support scams. It's like they've been around forever, but they still manage to trick people.
You mean those scary pop-up warnings that say your computer's infected?
Exactly. They prey on that panic, that urge to fix the problem immediately, and that's when you make a mistake. You call the number they provide.
So what happens then? Do they, like, take over your computer?
Pretty much. They'll try to convince you they need remote access to fix the problem. But what they're really doing is installing malware, stealing your personal information, or even charging you for fake services.
Ugh, that's so sneaky. So what should you do if you get one of those pop-ups?
First, don't panic. Legitimate security software will never demand immediate payment or use scare tactics like that. If you're concerned, contact your antivirus provider directly through their official website or phone number, not the one on the pop-up.
Got it. Don't call the scary pop-up. Okay, and I think we have to talk about lottery and prize scams. Those congratulations, you've won. Emails are so tempting, even though I know they're fake.
They are. The thing is, everyone wants to believe they've won something. But remember, you can't win a lottery you didn't enter. And legitimate contests will never ask you to pay a fee up front to claim your prize.
So if they ask for money, it's a scam. Always.
Always. That's a surefire sign that it's a trick.
Okay, good to know. Wow, we've covered a lot of scams today. I'm starting to feel a little paranoid, honestly.
I know it can be overwhelming. But don't let it get you down. Remember, knowledge is power. And now that you know the warning signs, you're much better equipped to protect yourself.
That's true. So let's shift gears and talk about some practical steps we can take to stay safe. I know our source had a whole survival guide for avoiding scams.
Yes, and it's full of great tips. First up, verify, verify, verify. If someone asks for money or personal information, don't just take their word for it. Double-check everything through official sources.
So like if I get an email that looks like it's from my bank, I should go directly to the bank's website to check if it's legit.
Exactly. Don't click on any links in the email itself. And if you're still unsure, call the bank directly using the number on the back of your card or on their official website.
Good point. What about passwords? I'm terrible at remembering them, so I tend to use the same one for everything.
I know it's tempting, but using the same password for multiple accounts is like giving scammers a master key to your life. If they get hold of it, they can access everything.
Okay, you've convinced me. I need to up my password game. Any tips?
Absolutely. First, make sure your passwords are strong and unique. Aim for at least 12 characters with a mix of uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols.
Got it. But how am I supposed to remember all those complicated passwords?
That's where a password manager comes in. It's like a digital vault for all your passwords, so you only have to remember one master password.
Interesting. Okay, so strong passwords and a password manager. What else can we do?
Enable two-factor authentication whenever possible. It adds an extra layer of security to your accounts, requiring you to enter a code from your phone or email in addition to your password.
So even if a scammer gets my password, they still can't access my account.
Exactly. It's like having a double lock in your door.
Okay, that's a great tip. What about protecting ourselves from identity theft? I hear that's a huge problem these days.
It is. And one of the most effective ways to prevent it is to freeze your credit.
Wait, freeze my credit. Isn't that a bit drastic?
It might sound extreme, but it's actually very simple. When you freeze your credit, it prevents anyone, including yourself, from opening new credit accounts in your name.
So if a scammer tries to open a credit card using my stolen information, they'll be blocked.
Exactly. It's like putting a stop sign on your credit report.
Interesting. But doesn't that mean I have to unfreeze it every time I want to apply for a loan or something?
You do have to temporarily unfreeze it,
Right.
but it's a quick and easy process. You can do it online or by phone, and it usually only takes a few minutes. Weighing the slight inconvenience against the peace of mind, it's absolutely worth it.
Okay, you've convinced me. Freezing my credit goes on the to-do list. Anything else we should keep in mind?
Yes. Don't underestimate the power of your intuition. If something feels off or too good to be true, trust your gut and walk away.
It's like that old saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Exactly. Don't let yourself be pressured into making a decision you're not comfortable with.
Okay, so to recap, verify everything, use strong passwords and a password manager, enable two-factor authentication, freeze your credit, and trust your gut. That's a lot to remember.
It is, but it's all about building good habits and being aware of the risks.
I guess it's like anything else in life. The more you practice, the easier it becomes.
Absolutely. And remember, even if you do everything right, there's still a chance you could encounter a scam.
So what should we do if we think we've been scammed?
Well, first of all, don't beat yourself up about it. These scammers are professionals. They're experts at manipulation and deception.
Okay, so don't panic. What next?
The most important thing is to take action right away.
What kind of action?
Well, it depends on the scam. If you gave away personal information like your social security number or bank account details, you'll want to contact your bank and credit card companies right away and monitor your accounts for suspicious activity. You may also want to file a police report and consider placing a fraud alert or a credit freeze on your credit reports with all three credit reporting agencies: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion.
That sounds like a lot to deal with.
It can be,
Yeah.
but remember, you're not alone. There are resources available to help you, like the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC,
Okay.
and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB.
Good to know. I think a lot of people feel ashamed or embarrassed when they fall victim to a scam.
Absolutely. There's a huge stigma around it. But it's important to remember that these scammers are professionals. They're experts at manipulation and deception, and they know how to exploit our vulnerabilities. It can happen to anyone, regardless of their intelligence or background.
That's a really good point. I guess it's like anything else, the more we talk about it openly, the less power it has over us.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to share our experiences and spread awareness. The more people know about these scams, the harder it is for scammers to succeed.
That makes sense. It's like a collective defense system. We can all look out for each other.
Precisely. So if you learn about a new scam or have a near-miss experience, don't keep it to yourself. Tell your friends, family, neighbors, even post about it on social media. You never know that one conversation could save someone from falling victim.
Right. It's like they say, if you see something, say something.
Exactly. And remember, prevention is always the best defense. So keep reviewing those safety tips we talked about. Stay informed about the latest scams and trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is.
You know, this deep dive has been incredibly eye-opening. I feel like I've learned so much about the psychology behind these scams and how to protect myself.
Me too. And it's amazing how much we can learn from just one podcast episode.
Seriously, it's a reminder that knowledge is power, and that we all have a role to play in fighting back against scammers.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So stay vigilant, stay informed, and stay safe out there, everyone.
And that's our deep dive for today. We'll be back next week with another fascinating topic. Until then, stay curious and keep learning.
If this podcast helped you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps us keep making these videos. Thanks for watching.